It's Friday. It's the 25th of December, 25th of September. Oh, I wish it was September. Wish it was December. Whatever it is another Bubble Friday. And I am Jay Cleveland Payne, doing a little adjusting. Forgot I did some camera testing and some moving around of equipment the other day. So we're trying to realize why I'm looking at myself but not looking at myself. So we'll just stick with that. That'll work right there. It's Bubble Friday, and this is a day where it's turned to me just kind of rambling for the most part. But it's really a reminder. That wasn't good. It's really a reminder that everyone should take a moment towards the end of something, end of their day, end of their week. We use Friday as a not even a metaphor. This is just a rough day. I'm sorry. A Friday as a ending point for the end of the week. At an old job I was at, apparently this is a horrible Bubble Friday, so my message wasn't that great either. So we'll see how that goes. Better. Friday, the end of your work week, the time you're getting ready to celebrate and to take a break from everything else to blow off some steam and just enjoy the moment and give yourself a chance to prepare for the day. Good morning, Georgia. Thank you so much for popping in and saying good morning on this Bubble Friday on Facebook. Hopefully you had a great week this week, and hopefully you had a lot of attendance for the chess club and preparing for great things going on with that. Georgia Morris is the I guess she's the founder. She's the manager of a chess club, the Mosaic Church CPR Chess Club out of my church. And it's a little bitty club that does really big things and has won tournaments across the state of Arkansas. Amazing things that club has done. We're going to try another jar of bubbles because sometimes you just have to sort of pause and restart because apparently that bubble jar is too old or effective or something. When in doubt, blame the jar of bubbles. So yeah, it's Bubble Friday. So after all that rambling, it's a day to sort of sit back and just enjoy yourself because you've survived a week of something, a week of work, a week in general. Maybe you're not quite on your Friday, but you can still take a moment, pause, and if you're not blowing actual bubbles, take a deep breath and kind of inhale and then blow it out slowly. And use that as a way to kind of release some of the stress that's either in the moment or for the full week. It's better to do it kind of in the moments throughout the week because then you don't blow up at the end of the week waiting to blow bubbles. So that's what Bubble Friday is all about. I highly encourage you to go to your local dollar store or department store. I'll just say Walmart. Basically, he's got Walmart. They're extremely cheap, extremely inexpensive. Or just get some dishwashing solution and some water and find a wand someplace and blow some bubbles with me on Friday mornings. We're trying to do this as a recurring thing because I don't get a lot of time to do all the chit-chatting to the internets like I would like to. And if you would like me to do more of that, you can help out with that as well. We'll put those up in a moment. Now, the reason why the description talks about showing up is because I almost didn't show up this morning. And the main reason for that is because I'm extremely tired, to be honest. Bubble Friday is not necessarily a big effort thing to do, but literally finding the time to stop and just do this has been a bit difficult with schedulings of what's going on. School's back in, so now my morning is now taken up completely by getting a child ready for school and getting her to school, then getting myself to work. I prepare for a day where I'm essentially a firefighter for all practical purposes, kind of dealing with logistics of the day. So as other people break things, I've got to chase them down and get them fixed. So a lot of times my day is just taken up by all sorts of craziness. So I don't necessarily have a lot of time to sit back and write for all practical purposes. Sit back and actually put pen to paper or thoughts out so things come out coherently. A lot of things are on the fly. Yesterday, I actually had, for the first time in a long time, I wrote a post that was meant to go out for my Basically Dead newsletter that I wrote it in a couple of sessions where I had some free time waiting between leaving work and going to pick up the kid from school, and all practical purposes intended on sending it out last night and just didn't get to it. Other things got in the way. So there's a saying that while the percentages are all always made up, so it doesn't really matter, but basically 80% of life is about showing up, and you can change that number back and forth. I don't like the number. I don't really like the saying. The saying is attributed to a bunch of people. One of those is Woody Allen, who has own issues with just in general. But the premise of the saying is that basically, if you show up for something, you basically lick most of the issues. Being there is half the battle, if you will. Now, if you just sort of show up and just are there in body and not in mind or spirit, most of the time that usually makes it worse. So that's why 80% of life isn't about showing up. It's really, I'd say, more about 50% of life. Being in the right place is part of the thing. But this morning, I really wasn't quite feeling it. Actually, it was yesterday, and that's kind of what birthed the writing I did yesterday, because basically out of some frustration, I really wasn't quite feeling the energy of doing this. Not that Bubble Friday is such a bad and just a draining thing, but a lot of general progress has not been happening, has not progressed. Not grammatically correct, but a lot of things that should have been working in my mind aren't quite working. And one of the things that sort of triggered this, trigger this was a podcast from a friend of mine called the Steve and Bethany Hopecast, which I'll put information about that later on in the thing. Steve and Bethany had a podcast essentially talking about God's plan, and can you know God's plan, and how do you know if you're following God's plan, and things like that. It's a very great podcast, whether you are spiritual or not. It's just very entertaining, so you can check that out as well. But listen to that podcast yesterday. I was running a little late when it came out, so yesterday for the chance, I finally had a chance to kind of sit back at my desk and get some paperwork done and have the podcast running and listen to it. It really, really kind of touched a nerve, to be honest. It really sort of had me a little slight angry, because right now there's a lot of things that are, if they are quote unquote God's plan, don't seem like they're working very well for me personally, or if they're working exactly as they are, is not exactly the plan that I thought I'd be working on. It's not exactly the game plan I was given. It's like being told to go long for a pass in football, only to find out that you're the decoy after the play is over, and you realize you were never the intended target. It's one thing to know that you are the decoy, so you need to play it up like it's real. It's something else to believe you are going to get this shot, and to find out someone else was going to get it all along, and you were just a smokescreen to keep people from knowing what's going on. So with all that, Bubble Friday was not going to die again. I just didn't know if it was worth putting forth the effort to turn on the camera and think a little bit and do the setups and all that stuff. And it may not be. Who knows? I mean, it might be an effort, or it might be just fruition to just do it. It might just not be all that useful. Except it sort of is useful in the sense that showing up is not 80% of life, but it's about halfway there. Every single time I turn on this camera and try to look into it and ramble back and forth, I am working on getting better at something. And every time I turn on this camera and look at it and say some words, whatever it is I'm talking about, I usually feel a little bit better about the message. Whether I know the message is being heard, that comes about later. Whether I know that message is effective, that may bug me a little bit later as well. But it's one thing to have an idea and want to do something and just sort of desire to try something, and it's something totally different to actually put it into play. Now, the flip side is, I think a few weeks ago I talked about it's better to have loved and lost, and said, well, so sometimes you go out there and take that shot and you end up being crushed, and it ends up being kind of worse once you realize, oh, it really could be bad. because sometimes you ask, oh, how bad could it be? And it can actually be bad if not done properly. So all the attempts I've had to, for lack of terminology, it's very slow in the brain today, be famous, be heard, be a messenger, let people know what I have going on, help people be better in their messaging. All the attempts that are going on now, all the attempts have gone in the past, and all the struggled attempts I'm going to keep doing are going to keep happening. And there'll be more of these rambling sort of messages popping up here that may make sense, may not make sense, because here's the real thing. I end these messages by saying congratulations for waking up and having the ability to get up and get after it. So get up and get after it, because it's true. If you are alive, if you are conscious, if you can focus on something, then you got a shot at greatness. You got a shot at awesomeness. You are not guaranteed anywhere near greatness or awesomeness, but you're guaranteed another day of life. And you have guaranteed a chance to impact someone's life just by being there. And you always impact someone's life by being there. You may be the person who goes into the store that buys that thing that helps somebody's ticket load that day. You may be the person that gives a little, well, we're all wearing masks now, but gives a little smile, a head nod that reminds people that, people aren't so horrible after all, even though sometimes we tend to be horrible. You may be the person who will have the message that may mean very little to you, or may mean a lot to you that you don't believe anyone's listening to, that can change the course of action of a person. It could save their lives. It could, be historic and monumental. I wouldn't put any money on that, but it could be something that's bigger than you. It could be. You don't, you don't set out every day thinking that you're going to be a kingmaker every day, unless you are that type of person. And Georgia Morris, you're that type of person. You probably got kings and queens in the making in your chess club right now. But a lot of the stuff comes from just showing up. And a lot of times showing up is hard because you're going to show up and no one else will be there, or no one will listen, or people will heckle and throw things at you. And sometimes it's valid. Sometimes you show up and you're not very good. It's not ready. It's not good enough. Sometimes you show up and it's pretty good and no one's there to give you any accolades in those cases. So today is a day where this message is simple. Life is busy. A lot of things going on. A lot of people aren't seeing these things like they were earlier on, because that's how things happen. They get a big burst and they go away. And because, I'm not seeing the progress I'm thinking I should be seeing, I'm not seeing the results I think I should be seeing. I'm not getting the six-pack abs or whatever it is that you're working at. You got to show up. Keep showing up. Seriously, keep showing up. This is a hard message for me to say because I've been showing up to things for a long time and I'm not seeing what I want to see in it. Is it because I'm not very good? I don't think so. It may not be the greatest, but it's not because it's horrible. Is it because the timing's off? Maybe. Am I talking to the right people, the wrong people, the whoever? I don't know. And if I knew the answer to those questions, I think I'd be doing better, or maybe I wouldn't be doing any better. Maybe the point is I got to keep showing up. And so until somebody writes me that $1 million check, I got to keep showing up, hoping someone writes me $1 million check. And when someone actually writes me that $1 million check, apparently I got to keep showing up to get that next $1 million check. So hopefully if you see this either live, there's few people on live, or you're in the future, since these things live in the internets, and you're having some trouble dealing with just things not working. I announced a few weeks ago I'm going to launch a new podcast thingy that's going to talk about what to do if try to keep yourself motivated in working towards that thing when that thing is obviously not working to the way you want it to. Though that is coming very soon, so timing is getting in the way of that as well. But Don't give up. If you had dreams of going on tour and being a major artist in music, and you're in, I'll say 47, 40, you're in your 40s, and that dream is looking like it's not going to happen because now you've got kids and you've got a spouse or spouses, if you've gone that many times, and you've got all these things that are tied up to it, and you have this life that has all these things attached to it, and it seems like it's a hard thing to give up. That doesn't mean you have to give up on wanting to sing, wanting to perform, and wanting to, use that gift. You just may not have a chance to tour with Taylor Swift or Kanye West, or have a Vegas moment like Cher or Britney Spears. That may be out of your realm, but somebody might need you to back up singing for them at the bar every other Saturday. No, it's not your big dream, but it's you showing up for someone doing something. And that little thing can mean more than you think. So hopefully this little thing meant more than I thought it would, because literally yesterday it was not going to happen. And like I said, the intervention from the podcast with Steve and Bethany, which I'll give you information on that in a little bit. And I also another web thing that I ended up watching, another YouTube video I ended up popping and watching late just by randomish, from a guy who does these funny videos and he's doing it for a while, but then he gave a, much like this, weird, rambling, and not very entertaining testimony on how at various points in times he, gave up, he stopped, he backed away, and just sort of somehow got back into it. And now it's something that's lucrative, that makes some money. It's a job now, but before it was a job, it was a side thing, it was a fun thing, it was a hobby thing, that because at some point in time he would put something out there and get no response, he'd wonder whether the problem was him, the problem was that episode, the problem was the algorithm. But because for long watches of time he'd get very little response, it'd be like, well, is this worth the time and effort? And because he basically had to do a day job at the time, and this was extra stuff, he had to figure it out. Luckily for him, it turned in enough that it's now his day job in entertainment, and it's worth the effort. This right here, that kettle back there, that bag of popcorn for snacks going on, that air thing that I use to clean off keyboards and stuff, that's my day job. This thing right here is me finding time to emote what I can. So I'm not sure. Like I said, Georgia is here live. Thank you, Georgia, so much for the comments, for speaking out. I do appreciate this because it does help keep things going. It helps keep knowing that somebody, I know everyone's busy, so anyone has time to pop in and respond is awesome. I'm going to end this on a fairly note, but this week, a lot of things happened in history. A lot of things were said by people of notes who probably should not have said those things. And one very big, important news item that happened was the announcement of what happened to the officers involved in the shooting of Breonna Taylor. Now, the ultimate thing that happened was the fact that there's 3 officers who were possibly up for charges in the no-knock warrant arrest or presentation that was meant to be. In the aftermath, the police sort of said their police busted in the door because of no one expected what was going on. Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend at the time got dressed, got to motion. The boyfriend had a registered weapon, which he had registered to carry. Because someone was busting into his door and they didn't hear the announcement. He fired blindly into the hall towards them. They fired blindly into the apartment. Breonna Taylor was killed in the aftermath, and the final verdict. But the final, what information we got yesterday was one officer was indicted on wanton endangerment. That's because he was firing wildly into Breonna Taylor's apartment, but bullets actually entered into neighboring apartments, endangering neighbors. who actually weren't hurt in the process, but endangered them because of, random bullets flying into their apartments. One officer was charged with that. The other two officers charged with nothing. Absolutely nothing went to the charges to Breonna Taylor being killed. There are now, this is day 3 since that happened, 2 days of protest going on in that. And so there's all that going on. The thing that really kind of touched me, and another podcast I watched going live last night, the In the Black podcast with my good friend Big O and Orange Crush and Big L. I'll put a link to them as well in comments later on down there. They did a deep dive into that one and just went to just kind of the anguish and the pain and the not again of the stuff going on. And the biggest thing they hit on was the Attorney General of the state of Kentucky, who is Black and is Republican. He actually spoke during the Republican convention a few weeks ago there in Washington. And while the two things aren't necessarily, diametrically opposed to each other, the consensus that they came down to was this man has a great future career in politics. He's working. He's really tight with Mitch McConnell, who's currently the head of the Senate. He's gotten a lot of praise from President Donald Trump, currently our president, and because he was saddled with running this case because the regular district attorney recused himself, so the attorney general had to take it on. Saw this as a sacrifice. Breonna Taylor's case, and in a sense her life, was sacrificed for his political future. He got some high profile time. He showed that he could follow the law because the rulings are basically as lawful as possible while protecting the law officers, police officers, in what I call, and not that what I say means very much, another case of awful policing, just police officers doing awfully bad stuff, not because necessarily the people were of a minority, the group that would not have any offense or they couldn't do anything about it, although that's what it seemed like it was, but they're just police officers who are doing bad work. And because the people that get caught in the crossfire this time literally are powerless to do anything about it, they get off and they continue to have more police officers doing bad, shoddy work. Go out there and vote. 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 It's still time to register to vote. Something I thought you had to be registered to vote about 6 months out from the national election, especially if you missed a primary. Get out there and vote. If you disagree with what I say and you think, oh, that dude's a cool guy and I like what he's doing, and yeah, he's got a future in politics and I would vote for him, then vote for candidates that are more like that. Vote for people that follow along your lines. Vote for people that you, in good conscience, can actually agree with ruling over you and everyone else. Because remember, the winner of the election has to be the boss for everybody, not just people that they won for. People that didn't vote for them don't just go to an island someplace and wait for 4 years. They still have to stick around, and you still have to appease them in some way, or at least, not oppress them. That's how America is supposed to work. If you believe that a person like that just didn't do his job based on whatever was going on in his mind, maybe he was thinking about his career, maybe he was pushed, pressured by other folks, maybe he was just literally a puppet and just read the words that were given to him. You need to vote for people that you think are going to speak for you, speak for the people that you represent, the people that you are. And this is my thing that really throws off the message, because I know it seems like it's stupid, but it's not even so much about you. Your vote, your one vote going in there doesn't necessarily make, a difference against a majority of other folks. But the more people you talk to about the issues, and that means actually talking about the issues, more people that you encourage to go to the polls, more people you pick up and get in the car and you drive out to take them out there. If you live in a state that's offering up mail-in ballots, the more ballots you pick up to take to the post office, no, that's not ballot harvesting. That's taking people's mail to the post office. That's how it works. The more people you encourage to vote with you is how things work. The voting blocks are what's happening. That's why they talk about these demographics and why it matters if you are a white suburban female or urban minority male. That's why all this stuff makes a difference. Go vote. Be a part of the process. And if you lose, continue to be a part of the process, because that makes you able to hold the other person accountable to what they do. If you don't vote, you get what you get. If you don't, if you tell somebody says they're bringing home dinner, what you want, I don't know, bring me anything. What shows up is what you get. What you get. If you don't want where they want to go and you voice that opinion, they may still get what you don't want, but you have voiced your opinion and it's something that they can reckon with. Go vote. Figure out who best represents you and go vote. Vote in person, vote by mail, early vote. Get out there. Voting percentages in this nation are horrible, and while everybody says every election is the most important ever, and technically they are for going forward, there's a lot of things at stake going on and a lot of issues going on. And I think a lot of truth that will come out after November the 4th or whenever the votes are totally tabulated. There's a lot of truth that will come out at the end of this election, whether it goes either way. But we can't get to that truth until we get to the election. And if you want for the president, man, for whatever else going on, maybe it's I'll say person, go out there and vote. Local elections matter a lot. National elections matter a lot. Issues matter a lot. People matter a lot. So remember the date. Well, not so much a date, but the day. The date's 25th of September. The day is Friday. This is one of my Bubble Friday videos. And this was a video that I had to take a little time to kind of come up with how I was going to go with it. But this was a video that almost didn't happen because yesterday I wasn't going to show up. So today I showed up. I talked for 30 minutes. Hopefully you popped in for a little bit of time, and I was informative. I was educational, not very entertaining today. I'll work on that for later, but hopefully you got something out of this, and I get something out of every time I do these things, even when few people show up. So timing, notwithstanding, Bubble Fridays will continue and hopefully become more happy events. Hopefully I can find a better venue for doing these things or get a bit more traction that isn't interrupting the celebration of Friday. Celebrate your Friday, celebrate the end of your work week, celebrate your day. If you can't blow real bubbles because, your boss frowns upon people, blowing bubbles in the middle of board meetings, and my boss does that, take a time when no one's looking and just to inhale, exhale, take a deep breath and blow it out, and do that as a way to get a little steam and celebrate getting things done. Congratulations so much for making it through this video. Yes, this little grainy, awful video, because guess what? You were alive on September the 25th, or maybe even further in the future. Say that 3 times fast. You got out of bed. You had the ability to press a button and watch something and comprehend it and maybe do something with that. You had life. You had a will to get up. Now that those things are established and you are up, do something semi-awesome today. I'm not asking for big things. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough month. We're going into October. Trick or treating is happening here in Arkansas. Not sure how, but it's going to happen. But if there's any sort of alternative event for people going on there, make sure you support that. I work with a group of people who are production people, and they're going to put on a pretty big sort of drive-through Halloween thing in downtown. And because trick or treating is going to be weird, we're doing that 3 times, along with a bunch of other things to support all the Halloween stuff we can get. Because JJ's getting candy and entertainment out the wazoo, even if it's really for my benefit. You don't have to do anything quite that awesome, but just like I said, a smile in your eyes under your mask, quick hello, elbow bump to somebody out there who seem like they're having a bit of a day. Do what you do. Thank you very much. 3 times thanks to Georgia Morris for popping in and speaking this morning. That definitely helped me get the jazz up for the day. I got a full day of work today to get in, and then I got to go home and deal with my princesses, because that's what I do, because it's Friday and they rule Friday night. So let me get to work. Let you guys get to work. If it's live, if it's in the future, put a message out there saying that you listened, that you watched, that you got something from it, and just you saw the little crawls underneath there, and how to support me. buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne is the quickest way to kind of keep me going. Coffee keeps me going, and other ways as well. Check out my podcast. Go vote. That's what I want. That's what I want. Go make sure you're registered and go vote. In the meantime, we'll try to see if I can stay salient and upright, and we'll do this again next Friday. Thank you.